Hey everybody, Mr. Berg here, and we're going to talk about drawing three-dimensional animals and creatures using shapes. Check this out. It's the beginnings of a deer. Okay, it's drawn with basic shapes. I didn't just draw the outline perfectly, okay? I slowly built this using different shapes. Here's what I mean by that. Panda bear, okay? The body was initially like a big oval or circle. I then kind of just added where the arms might be. The head is a big circle. Nose and the eyes for right now are big circles, okay? If I didn't have the bamboo in there, it might not clearly be a panda, but I'm getting there. It's early stages. Now I'm going to show you two drafts of some sea turtles. So this is the starting of a sea turtle drawn just using shapes. And you'll notice the vantage point. I feel like these back feet are a little too small and maybe the wrong shape, but this is just the start. The vantage point, we're looking up at the turtle, so you're able to see the bottom of its shell a little bit. You can't see all the way on the back. Now look at that compared to this one. Okay, this one, we're looking more from a downward angle, so we're able to see more of the top shell. The head is still under construction. It's probably going to be something a little bit more, maybe more like this shape. Back feet, something more like that once I get into like the claws and everything. Okay, but all these animals are drawn using basic shapes. Here we go. First thing you have to decide is, what is your animal doing? Okay, if you're drawing a cat, is the cat laying down or standing up? For me, I'm drawing kind of like this dinosaur creature. I'm going to go with a made-up creature. So it's going to be on all fours. Okay, and it's going to have kind of these spikes or almost this like armor on its back. Kind of looks like a tortoiseshell. This is just a shape. I'm kind of making it up. Almost looks like an eye or a tortoiseshell. Okay, its head is going to kind of be coming off of here. This is kind of a long neck, and then head, it's not going to be perfectly round, kind of like this. It's going to have this hard, like armored head, I think. Okay, now the legs. The legs for the hip bone, or not the hip bone, but like the big muscular part, kind of going to be like this. And then from there, if this leg is reaching forward to take the next step, I'm just going to kind of contour it down like this. And its foot can be somewhere around here. For the front legs, same thing. This is going to be like the shoulder where it's connected to the body. Foot is maybe reaching like this, or I'm sorry, the leg is maybe reaching like this. Foot's going like that. Here's its underbelly, and maybe it's got some like curving tail or something. It's going to be kind of an interesting looking creature. I'm excited to keep working on it. Now, I can only see the two legs right now, so maybe this one over here would be kind of like down on the ground. This will be the leg on the other side. And then back here, same thing. You can see a little bit of the leg on the other side, maybe. Okay. Now, it's very sketchy. What I mean by that is I was just lightly drawing in all these different shapes. Okay, if you want to simplify it, even you say, all right, the head is like a circle. This was kind of like a rectangle, right? The body is kind of like an oval. And if you break things down into basic shapes before you start drawing them, you can get things the right size. Then you can go back and start adding some details as you start connecting the shapes. So I'm not going to draw this part in too definitively yet, too dark, because I'm going to add like some spikes and stuff to it. But I do want to get like the head and the neck shape kind of ironed out here and get them to where I want. The head is going to be kind of this armored, like scaly texture, I think. So I do want it to be kind of like this. I can go back later and add more things, and then, you know what? Let's even add kind of like almost like a beak type. I don't need to draw all the details of the beak yet, but that's going to kind of be like its head there. It's going to have a big jaw muscle maybe or something like that. And then kind of this slender neck that comes down here. So what I'm doing now is taking these shapes that I've drawn and kind of contouring them and joining them together to make a more permanent shape of the animal. I don't want these circles to be there fully, but I do think it's important that this creature has a big, strong leg. So like this one is going to be kind of the leg reaching forward. I might end up drawing some like claws on that or something. So here's going to be coming like this, and the foot is going to kind of hang down as it steps forward. Okay, so come back to that, and this will be the front left leg. I'm sorry, the front right. And then the front left leg will be behind it. And I think we're just going to have that one kind of like down on the ground for now. Not sure exactly what the feet are going to look like. But for right now, we'll start with something kind of like this. Looks a little bit too much like a human foot, but I'm wearing a boot. We'll see. We'll add some details to it later. Okay, now over here, same thing with the back leg, except I want that one to be even a little bit more muscular almost. So here I'm going to have that, and then I think that, well, let's see, actually maybe kind of coming around like this. We'll end up doing some claws or something on it. Get rid of that bottom line. Now I'm kind of making this up as I go, but I am using those initial shapes I drew to kind of guide my drawing, okay? Here you've got a little bit of that foot in the back. That's going to give us some depth in the animal. Here we're going to have like the underside of the animal, its belly. This is the leg on the other side, okay? And then, so it's just kind of standing around. The tail, I'm not crazy about how I've drawn the tail here. And we'll do something kind of like this, maybe. I think what I'm going to do is almost like a shell. So check this out. I have this tail kind of coming out of the shell. Then I am going to, I think as I do this, I'm just going to kind of come up with something for these spikes. Not like spikes even, just kind of like this bumpy armored texture. And then let's have it kind of like a shell up front too, so the neck kind of comes out of the shell. Maybe something like that. Now, before we go much further, I'm going to show you about like adding things or adding details to make it look three-dimensional. So I'm going to pretend that this is kind of like a turtle shell, and I'm just going to sketch it really lightly. I'm going to end up getting rid of some of these, but I'm going to sketch in these curved lines. And what this is going to do is just give me a guide for where I want like these bumps and spikes and stuff to go. So maybe you've just got some like textured, random kind of overlapping bumps or spikes here that I'm kind of working on. Okay, and as you shade those in, you want them to get darker towards the edges and lighter towards the middle in order to make them look a little bit more three-dimensional. Or in order to make like the entire creature look three-dimensional. Okay. Now for the neck, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end up doing some scales, I think, but before we do that, I want to make this look kind of like a cylinder almost. Okay, so remember back, if you did a cylinder, it's kind of dark around the edges, gradually gets a little lighter towards the middle. Use my finger to kind of blend some things together like that. I can always go through with my eraser and take off some of the graphite from my pencil, but if it's kind of dark around the edge, and gradually gets a little lighter, you can kind of simulate it being round. See, as I'm adding things in here, I'm going to go really dark kind of around some of the areas and lighter towards some of the others. That's decent for right now. If I were doing then a kind of a texture on there, what I would do, I'm going to kind of rotate my paper here, is I want these scales on here, and they're going to be these little U's. but I want them to kind of follow the contour, the shape of this being a cylinder. So I'll try to not cover it up as I draw these in there. So what I would do is, those are kind of flat. I could even curve them a little bit more. And as I do that, I can go back and add a little bit of texture inside each one, add a little shading and shadows around each one in order to give them a little bit more three-dimensionality. And that's going to be the texture that I provide on the neck of the animal. I think I'll probably do the same on the legs. Now, I'm not crazy about this shape back here. I think it looks too, or not like creature enough. So I think what I'm going to do is really kind of change this up a little bit and have it more like a almost like a dinosaur like claw. I'm thinking of Jurassic Park here. Come down here, and that's going to go like this, and maybe foot will kind of curve over like that. I think I like the look of that better. I drew a little bit heavy there. I probably should have gone a little bit lighter so I don't have those eraser marks, but I'll work on that as I go. So your goal is going to be to create this three-dimensionality, whatever you choose to draw, but in doing the three-dimensionality and trying to create it, you want to use a variety of textures and use a range of light to dark within the picture. Okay, I'm going to just keep drawing here and do your best. There it goes. Three-dimensional animal. Just kind of made it up. It's decent. Needs a little work, but it's I think it's okay. Pretty good start. An imaginary animal. It's kind of weird. Okay, happy drawing, everybody. See ya.